Welcome to Thursday's edition of Weather for Weather Geeks, and we're going to geek out to some really interesting stuff here in the weather department because winter is far from over. It is reloading, and boy, does next week look cold. In the short term, though, it started cloudy today. The sun came out in the midday hours, but now the sun is being replaced by clouds and some snow. I've got the radar in motion here with a band of light to moderate snow moving through central Ohio. It's weakening as it comes east. And so the snow here will not be quite as impressive as it was earlier today in Cincinnati and Dayton and Columbus. So, we might get a fresh coating, half an inch out of this tonight. Enough to cause some slick spots, certainly, but overall in the grand scheme of things, not a huge deal. Let me stop the animation here and I'll zoom in. And I'm recording this at about 2:20 p.m., and this is what the radar looks like at this point. Pretty much I-77, the dividing line between those who are getting snow and those who aren't. In fact, it's still fairly sunny east of Youngstown and heading over into western PA at this hour. But everyone's going to get snow before the day is through. Actually, the heaviest of the snow is with this skinnier band out here in Indiana, heading up into northwest Ohio, into parts of Michigan as well. I'll put this back in motion. And, you can see everything is moving from west to east, but this is running into some pretty dry air. So the weakening trend will continue. I'd be surprised if anyone got more than an inch out of this tonight. I think most of us will get half an inch as we head through the overnight tonight. So let me pop up the temperatures real quick. We'll take a quick look at the country as a whole. It's chilly down in the south. It's only 54 right now in Orlando. We've got pretty cold air up towards the U.S.-Canadian border as well. And the worst of the cold is still way up in northern Canada. It's going to take until next week before big chunks of this start coming back our way. In the meantime, the West is just way too hot and dry. They desperately, desperately need rain and snow in California, and none is coming for at least a couple of weeks, unfortunately, for them out there. Temperature-wise here in the Mahoning Valley this afternoon, we've pretty much stopped our rise now. Most of us will have an official high of around 30 today, just a shade below the average. All right, I'm going to bring up a computer model here, and we'll talk about what the radar is going to look like in the future. And I'm going to start this with 7 o'clock this evening. Our light snow moving through at this point, despite it being green on this computer model, this is snow and not rain. So our light snow is moving through at 7 p.m. this evening. As we go towards midnight, here's midnight, and it's still snowing in a lot of the valley. By tomorrow morning, as you get up and around, this is 7 a.m., not much will be happening, probably some flurries around, but the steadiest of the snow will probably have ended at that point. Midday tomorrow, 11 a.m., noon, could be a little band that approaches from the south and west here. We'll have to keep an eye on this, and this could bring us another coating in some spots by the end of the afternoon tomorrow. But tomorrow promises to be a little warmer than today, so if we get this little band of snow tomorrow afternoon, roads should just be wet. You get maybe a coating on your grass out of this tomorrow afternoon, but with temperatures around 33, 34, I would not expect any real road issues for tomorrow. All right, so Friday, again, maybe there's a coating or so worth of snow, mainly non-paved surfaces. Let's talk about the weekend. This map shows Saturday morning, and we're going to start the day in between systems again. Here's one low over here, another low just off the screen at the start of the day. As we get into the afternoon and evening, this next little clipper, pretty healthy-looking little system, coming down out of Canada and moving in this direction. And by the end of the day, it'll be centered over Indianapolis. As we head towards the evening and into Saturday night, where this tracks will be critical for us. If it takes the track that this particular computer model, the GFS, shows, I could see where we get an inch or even maybe 2 out of this. If it takes a track a little too far to the south, say more like this would be kind of a Columbus to Cincinnati special. But if it does move far enough north, we can see some slick travel, I think, Saturday, very late in the day into Saturday night with a fresh inch, possibly 2. That's going to push away by Sunday. The next clipper is more of a northern feature. It'll be centered up here. So it's going to drag a little front through on Sunday, and maybe we get some flurries out of that. But I think the best chance of seeing some sort of accumulation that will cause issues will be very late Saturday into Saturday night with that more southerly clipper. All right, the cold becomes the big story next week, not snow. I'm going to show you what computer maps look like here in just a second, but what we're showing here is just our precipitation forecast, and as you can see, there's no big systems heading our way. There's going to be some lake-enhanced or lake-effect snow at times next week, but you're not going to see any big green or blue blobs heading our way. So the big story next week is the cold. I'm going to show you an animation here of the general flow in the atmosphere, starting with Friday evening. The general idea here is a big ridge in the west, big trough in the east. And as you can see, as I put this in motion, that's not going to change much in the coming days. By Sunday, here's the dreaded polar vortex over Hudson Bay, Canada. We've got our one piece of our trough just moving east of Ohio, and I think temperatures will moderate as that moves east Sunday night into Monday. But then the motherload of cold is going to come down. Notice, let me back this up and I'll animate it again. Watch what that polar vortex does. It sort of wobbles and takes a little kind of a south jog, and that makes the trough in the east very deep by the middle of next week. This is Wednesday. So we've got a big ridge on the west coast, big trough of low pressure in the east, and that's a cold pattern for us. And notice, as I continue animating this, nothing changes really. In fact, it may even get colder next weekend and heading towards the very end of January and the start of February. So, boy, no relief in sight for the west. They need the rain, they need the snow. No relief from the cold in sight for the east. And here's our temperature anomaly chart for the next 16 days. Boy, not a lot of warmth on this. The black line that runs straight up here, that's normal, where we should be. And then the white boxes and the green bars, those are the temperature forecasts based on our computer model here. So we go a little above average for the next day or so, with temperatures maybe getting into the mid-30s on Friday. But then the weekend looks cold, and then it's even colder next week. We could be as much as 15 degrees or so below average for the middle of next week. And that's going to spell highs in the teens, maybe even lower teens, and overnight temperatures could be down well into the single digits, and we might even flirt with 0. This doesn't look as severe next week as last week's cold when we were at 12 below, but it looks real cold. And then beyond next week and heading towards the very end of January, there's a chance that we could see the kind of intense cold that we had last week. That remains to be seen, but that's something that can't be ruled out at this point. All right, that's weather for Weather Geeks on this Thursday. Join me tonight on 21 News at 6 and 11, and early risers, of course, tune into WFMJ today, tomorrow morning, and Jess will have a fresh look at your Friday forecast. We'll see you then.